Hey guys, Infidel1258 here. Today I want to talk about Dar Gottem Gearnut. This is the new or next voucher card or promo card that we're going to expect from Splinterlands. If you don't know, those who play Splinterlands and stake SPS get vouchers. There's other ways to get them too, but when you get vouchers, one of the things that you get to enjoy is the exclusive reward cards. These are promo cards that are made occasionally by the team and then released for purchase using those vouchers. And so it's one of the ways that you get benefit for your time in this system. Your stake of SPS accumulates vouchers and you can spend them on assets such as this. Tashoshi Drakamoto was the most recent one, but the next one will be the ones featured on your screen right now, Dar Gottem Gearnut. And I want to talk about him, the synergies, the possible combinations, why I'm excited about it in this video. If that sounds interesting, stick around. Otherwise, maybe check out the next video. Okay, so Dar Gottem Gearnut. First of all, I guess I want to make a comment about art style and also design, because the art style looks amazing. I love we have come so far. Like if we come back and let's just look at some of the old cards for just 30 seconds. The transformation and capacity, it's like talent and capacity, like it's just absolutely crazy where we come from. Let's go. I mean, these look fine. They look cool in their own way. Retro. I used to think this one was like one of the greatest cards ever drawn. And I still think it's a really cool card. But man, look at that art style and compare that to Dar Gottem. I mean, the shading and the lighting and the movement and the emotion, and it's got a playful art style, whereas sometimes there's like this deeply realistic or even like scary. It's got, every one of the artists has a flavor, and it seems like the team really lets them run with that. But it's not just about, flavor. It's also about caliber. Well done. Looks amazing. Secondly, on card design, the story and the lore, Nate got into it. This is a little fanboy for dragons, and so he was in Rage's, treasure hoard, and trying to just get close to Rage because he likes dragons, and Rage is one of the dragons cards that we received previously. And he found this necklace, which imbued him with massive hit point power, or let's say like endurance or durability. And so then I love that. I love the playful nature of that. I love how it leans on past cards. There's an interconnection of story. That's in my opinion, that's the beginnings, or maybe that's the extension of good storytelling. I love the interconnected nature of this ecosystem and the lore. So great job, team. Love this one. Now, from a utility standpoint, I want to talk about its stats. It's certainly expensive. You got 14 mana to play for this one, but man, these hit points are probably worth it. We should say first off that more recently we've seen a lot more high mana matches. It's after a recalibration, it seems that high mana matches are more frequent than they used to be. There was a season or a time where there was a lot of 12 mana matches, and that was fun in its own way, but would have definitely disqualified, in fact made it impossible to play cards like this. But as we see 60s and 70s and 80s and 90 mana cap battles, this Dar Gottem is definitely going to fit, and I like him for a lot of reasons. So this is quite a bit, and it might be the Achilles heel of a card like this, but I like this card for many reasons. We're going to talk about first its own stats and abilities, then I want to focus on some synergies, and we'll speculate about how this could fit into the meta. Okay, so stats and abilities. Starting off with 20 hit points, 3 armor, 2 speed, and 2 damage output with the trample. The trample is largely irrelevant when you only do 2 damage, but there's going to be ways to ramp that up. Inspire. What about Pain Forge? Because this is a gnome. We'll talk more about that later. This is not very much damage. Trample is largely irrelevant. 1 copy would be deeply valuable for every player in the game simply because of this meat shield. But I'm going to say that 25. Wow. At the highest levels. I think this might be mandatory for me. This might be necessary. It might be required. It's not going to be played every single time. But when you have a 99 mana match and this card, your opponent has this card and you don't, I don't know how you get through something like that. You can't even use oppress because it has some damage output. You can't use, I mean, you can use giant killer, but that's not even, there's not any giant killer to my knowledge in modern anymore. So unless we're going to see a giant killer brought to Conclave Arcana or the mini edition or the reward cards, big cards like this just are meat shields that are a real problem for you. And we've seen Rebellion and Conclave Arcana represent this new twist of the game away from sustain and toward fast, exciting, explosive damage output first, damage leads to victory type meta. This could be a little bit of an answer toward that because it is going to slow you down to have to run through this 23 hit points, 20 and 3. And then when you see at level 2, it gets flank. That actually means what you're really saying is this main tank enables some other crazy main tank to slip in the second line and still be effective. There's a lot of cards in the game that have, main tank sort of capacity, power, energy, and they're really powerful and they're deeply impactful. Oftentimes they're melee units and they're higher in mana themselves, but they don't have reach. And let's just go with Modern League. If they don't have reach, you might ignore them because they can't fight from the second spot, but flank opens that doorway, right? And so cards like Endless Ape, which is not showing up right away, but it's a Rebellion card. It has high hit points in and of itself. It also has Scavenge at the higher levels. So you slip that into the second position, it's going to be able to do some damage from that second position. It's going to be getting bigger because of the Scavenge. It's got Deflect also, which is nice. 4 damage, 3 speed. This is a strong card. And to throw 12 hit points and 2 armor with deflect and Scavenge in the second position, by the time it gets to the front, it's going to be 15, 16 hit points probably. And it's going to have been it has been an answer because of deflect to thorn damage that might be at the front line of your opponent's team. Or how about things like Chaos Orc? They're a little vulnerable, but they have trampled, pierce, and reasonable damage output. Or how about Mana Warden, which is in the second spot, going to throw a shield on that thing. And cards like this they need good flankers to be effective, in my opinion. So is this a buff to a Mana Warden, especially since it's a life card? Is it, Life and Dragon. Let's focus in on that. Dragon and Life. Yeah, anytime I can put Baradalin in the second spot to take a little heat off that amazing armor striking main tank, putting it into second position means that my first opponent can't reach me usually, unless they have some. It's possible that they do, but they usually don't. At least they wouldn't in that context. If they had anyways, it's possible because of one ability, but I'll move on from that. So cards like that can be really effective. Yeah, or Mana Warden. Those look like the two that really grab me immediately as like deeply impacted. Leolin, it's another way to put Leolin in that second spot and let this card, one of its main abilities is that massive damage output from the Relentless Strike and the True Strike and the Relentless Strike in conjunction with the Execute. And then if you play this with the white team, you can put Armor Strike on it too, which this is a killer. But Leolin is vulnerable. It doesn't have Void. It doesn't have Void Armor. It doesn't have Shield. So it needs to be in the second position. So that's another way to get that card into the second position. So for all those reasons, I see this main tank as opening doors. It's effective for 2 reasons. It's got huge hit points, and therefore that's by itself exciting. But then it's huge hit points that allow a second main tank to play from that second position. So deeply valuable. And then the synergy with the Inspire means that you're going to be helping himself, but you're also going to be supporting that main tank that you're allowing access to the front line through your flank. So there's great synergy in with it. And Trample goes really well with Inspire because not only are you bringing your damage to a higher level through Inspiring, you're also bringing your second line to a higher level of damage output through Inspiring. So there's great synergy there so far. What about this Void? Wow. Void with 25 hit points at the top level. Talk about sustainability. If the opponent doesn't bring Expose, I don't know how you're going to get through this thing. This thing is a meat shield. It's the craziest meat shield that we've seen since Gelatinous Cube. And that card has self-heal. and scavenge too. But this one has 25 hit points. The gelatinous cube on start was 16. And since then, the next biggest one was the Uland Overseer, I think it's called. Is that what it's called? On the white team, it's got no attack. Let's see. It's not in modern. Let's go by units, reg, rebellion, no attack. Ulandin Overseer. This was like the last big card with 17 hit points and 10 armor. That is nothing compared to 25 hit points. And I also want to say that as exciting as this card is from a base, from as exciting as Gearnut is going to be because of the synergies, because of the hit points, because of the flank and the trample and the inspire all coming together to make a very strong main tank frontline defense meat shield. Very good card, very desirable. If you have it, and I don't see how I get through you. I think this is a very powerful card, but all that doesn't even begin to address some of the possible synergies. That's just the stats. That's just the stats and the base sort of monsters that are available through just life and dragon. But again, it's a gnome. And so gnome brings out what? Gnome brings out the Painforge Summoner, Razi Clangtrap. To bring Painforge to every gnome means that, first of all, you can play that card with death. So it's not just life and dragon synergies, it's death synergies. It's gnome synergies. That's actually that's like a whole new level of consideration. Let's look at that. So we looked at main tanks that could slip into second from the second position because of the flank, that would benefit because of the full synergy. We talked about Mana Warden, we talked about Baradalin, we talked about Leolin Sifu, and there's others in here that probably merit looking at, but we didn't look at death. From a death perspective, Wailing Wraith has reach anyways, but that's always a good card actually, especially with the armor strike, if you can bring some more protect. What else do I like? Ragoon is nice to slip in there. Yeah, Heloise the Hollow. Take a little pressure off her from the front line, not having to shoot at her if you have Heloise. You could bring out Filthy Scavenger, who is a gnome and has the Bloodline Tribute function, which is going to give you hit point buffs, speed buffs, and melee damage output buffs to every card that's a gnome. And that is going to mean this card. So when that Conclave Bloodline Tribute falls, you're going to get more damage output to Dar Gottem Gearnut. And so now you're getting not 3 damage output, but 4, and not 4, but 5, because your Bloodline Tribute falls. And if there's a resurrect, maybe it goes up to 6, and maybe there's other inspires, and then suddenly this trample starts being really interesting. And again, it's got 25 hit points at the highest level. How are you getting through it? So that's interesting. I actually don't see a bunch of other synergies from the black, but then as I go into gnome, I bet there's even more. If we come in here and we go cards, we go not alpha. Let's click gnome. Okay. Yeah. How about this one? Cavewise Wayfinder in the second spot. Why? Because it's got the ambush, first of all, with a decent damage output at the highest levels. The max Cavewives with the ambush, so you get the 4 damage in the round 0. The main tank energy over here with the 11 and the 4, great. With the void, so even if it slips to the first, I'm happy with this thing. Like, how is that for a 1-2 punch? We're talking 36 hit points and like 7 armor or something for the first 2 monsters of my team, both of them having void. Plus this one has enrage. Why is that important? Because usually when you're doing the gnome play with the Painforge, what do? You bring electrified. You bring out the Water Diviner who's gonna drop the 1 damage to every one of your monsters. Why is that cool? Because you're gonna fry your own monsters and proc the Painforge. I think that's gonna get out of control with a card like this. But then Dar Gottem Gearnut also is going to be slightly tickled by the Cavewise. In round 0, bringing me up to 3 damage, 4 damage, 5 immediately, because of round 0 Cavewise and the Inspire on the Gearnut. You're going to 5 damage output from your Gearnut on melee with the trample. And every single round, in round 1 it's going to go to 6, in round 2 it's going to go 7, because of those reckless shots from your Cavewise. So this is an amazing example. So you're not just partnering with white and dragon and death, but you're partnering with fire because of the gnome. How about Nimble Duke Explorer? Yeah, it's nice to have this armor strike from the 2nd position, and you can do that. I think so far, the thing that I'm seeing the most excitement about would probably be this Cavewise. This is an amazing card. And that Reckless, in conjunction with a 25 hit point monster, is going to have time and ability to escalate and get out of control. This might be one of the core benefits. This might be one of the core benefactors of this new card. Cavewise is already an amazing card, but it might be getting better as that new promo card comes out to game. So there's some amazing synergies. I don't think we've really even scratched the surface of how impactful this card could be. I'm pointing toward how impactful. I'm saying it's going to be good. I'm giving you reasons. I hope you're seeing that. I'm giving you justifications. I'm thinking it through. I'm showing the connections, the synergies, how it's compatible for partnering with other things. All that's valuable, but we didn't even look at. We've looked at one of the summoners that are possible. We looked at Razi, and I think that's a really meaningful consideration. And Razi might be getting a benefit or like a sort of a financial buff from this one. These cards have been relatively stable / trickling down a little bit. Is Razi going to tick up a little bit in price point because of that summoner? Or because of that new promo card? Time will tell. But I also think, what about life summoners? As you bring in life, you're going to be able to bring in blue. You can play every card with that card. Because I showed you how you could play black. I showed you how you could play gnomes. I showed you how you could play dragon, how life. Now with life, you can bring in water. I think there's green too, isn't there? With life, you can bring in earth. Yeah, with life, you can bring in earth through Chul. And the amount of combinations are really, really significant. I would plan to get this card. I do plan to get this card. But if I were you, I would plan to get this card. If you play at the highest levels, I would think through what summoners could I play it with. And I actually would prepare by getting some of these cards. Like if I don't have Clangtrap, I probably would get it. That Painforge connection is going to be really, really meaningful. If I don't have, if I already have EMP, I would think through which blue cards would slip into the 2nd spot with a flank and really benefit. One comes to mind, Commander Slade. This is an even better flanker to bury your Commander Slade into the 2nd round, second spot with EMP. That I think is a benefit to EMP. And I would go through the line. How about Avina the Wolf, a self-heal on a 25 hit point monster? A self-heal on a 25 hit point monster. That's crazy. Now, it's not a modern play, or is it? It is a modern play. I don't have Avina. I think this might be time to buy an Avina. Wow, $61. Tempting. Very, very tempting. So let's leave it there. I'll leave some of it up to your imagination. I just want to say I think this card's very, very powerful. I like the card design. I like the synergies across the abilities and the stats. I like the lore around it. I also think there's some really exciting synergies that are possible. And if you think it through before others do, there might be some financial opportunity because you might acquire some of those cards we pointed to before others want them. If you agree that this card's uniquely powerful, do you also agree that some of those partnerships I mentioned might be really meaningful? If so, does that imply their value could go up? Maybe. It's worth thinking about. I'm going to leave it there. Thanks so much for your time and attention. Have an amazing day. God bless.